Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Office Hours live event. It is Saturday at 6 p.m. here in the London, England area, just like every week. The chat's open, so please do feel free to say hello, ask a question, talk to other people that are there on the channel. Hello, Aldo. Welcome as always. It's good to see you pop up. Please do not be shy. We can all benefit from the questions that we have to ask and answer, and talk amongst ourselves about. There's been some great little interchat discourses that have happened over the past couple weeks, which is always really exciting. So please say hello, get involved, have fun. Lots of great questions. I have a really cool little start for this evening while some questions get up. So I'm really gonna take off here. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope that you'll consider doing so now. Yeah. And hello Heidi, hello Rahul, and hello Greg. Good to see you all popping up again. So this is interesting. I found this it's nice the way this worked out. So I tagged all of these comments that came in via the channel this week. And so there's three things here. There's three questions, but they're all really interrelated. So I have a low range voice and also a heavy sound in my chest voice. The difference between chest and head is huge. So we're talking about the difference between thyroarytenoid dominant voice and cricothyroid voice. But my upper CT dominant, totally right. Head mix, yes. Voice goes quite far down so that when I do your exercises, I remain in head voice throughout the exercise. To get back into chest voice or start in chest voice, I have to pause briefly and push out with my chest voice. As soon as I enter head voice, I stay there. Now, that's related to this one. Should I start these exercises in chest voice, even if it's easier in head voice, and make sure to pass over the break, even if it clunks, because it really clunks and changes character, or do I somehow work on lower head voice only to make the transition smoother after the exercises? And finally, recently I've learned to sing in falsetto, but after using it, I can't sing higher on my real voice. Why? All of these things are related to the relative weight of our thyroarytenoid voice or cricothyroid voice. And how we can get stuck either way. Many people who haven't heard of the register change, going from thyroarytenoid dominant to cricothyroid dominant, and singing through the secondo passaggio, through the break, will try to push that thyroarytenoid voice higher and higher and higher. Now, to a certain degree with belting, that's what we do. We don't go too high with it, otherwise we get fatigued over the long course of things. But the thing is that you can get stuck in either. You can get stuck on that thyroarytenoid dominant voice and get what's sometimes called throat lock. So you won't go any higher. You just can't. You hit a ceiling, and you can see the vocalist trying to go higher, and the note just tops out. There's nothing up above it. And the converse is true too. When you learn to make that transition into cricothyroid dominant voice, thyroarytenoid cricothyroid, right? Cricothyroid dominant voice, you can get stuck there too, and then start coming lower and lower and lower without retransitioning. Make the transition as much as possible going in both directions. It's going to be clunky at first, but with practice, we get that transition to smooth out, and after a while, you just don't hear it at all. It's the same thing with falsetto too. When you get into a falsetto tone production, you can get locked into that type of vocal delivery as well. So we have to keep on practicing, even though the transitions in our practices can be kind of clunky. In a lot of the range exercises, you'll notice, if you haven't noticed it already, if you work on the videos of mine that talk about learning to sing in head voice or learning to open up an upper register or anything like that, there's a sequence of the order of exercise. It will start with descending patterns that are wide intervals, and the intervals will get narrower. And about that time, you'll get ascending and descending wider intervals. And then we slowly work that down. So you get narrower intervals on descending patterns with wide ascending. Then when you get scalar descending patterns, you'll get narrower intervals on the ascending patterns until finally we're doing scalar exercises up and down through the zona de passaggio. And this is to take advantage of our predispositions towards how we typically learn our voice. Many of us learn to squeeze out high notes. And by working in this pattern, you can defeat that. You can learn a new way of doing the transition so that you resist that urge to squeeze. Find the natural location of the secondo passaggio, and then you're off to the races matching resonance after that point. So those 3 exercises came in from all sorts of different places, and I just thought that was amazing and a lovely coincidence. And I don't know if any of those people show up or recognize their question tonight, but I do hope that helps. Okay, let me see what we got here. Keith, hello. Alara Sophia, hello. JC's Radiant Ray, good afternoon to you. John Phillipson Brown is saying hello, and Keith is saying hello to Alara Sophia. And Susan Taylor, hello and welcome back again. Rahul, my question. Okay, we got a question here. My question is that my voice is a bit harsh. How can I improve? Harsh in what way? Can you be more specific? Because we could be, I mean, is it really, really bright and nasally? Is it harsh like that? Or is it, give me some specifics there so that I can point you in an appropriate direction. Keith, my passaggio won't sound smooth. I just started talking about that. It takes a little bit of time to get that really, really smoothed out, especially if you have in the past squeezed or carried a lot of thyroarytenoid dominant tension in the zona de passaggio. The differences in those muscle groups can be somewhat vast in your initial practice. So be patient with it. Keep practicing. Work on some lighter exercises that cross the zona de passaggio. In particular, I'm thinking of the NG exercise. So, like that's such a just doing that now feels so nice. It feels so nice to do that kind of an exercise where you're descending in a scalar pattern. If you're doing stepwise exercises with your passaggio, and then when that starts to feel really, really comfortable, you can start opening that up to an A or an Ah. So you get and that can just be, yeah, I find that to be a very pleasant way to work on smoothing out the zona de passaggio, and particularly the transition point. It's reminiscent of another exercise where we start with a falsetto tone production and then switch over to cricothyroid dominant singing. And what we're doing is we're just really setting up a light, well-adducted timbre with the voice. Caponi, good evening from Finland, and good evening to you too. It's getting dark up there now, isn't it? Getting dark way early in the day. Aldo, I think that I'm mastering my appoggio technique. My singing has improved so much after appoggio. It's light and easy now. By the end of 2016, and with the help of you, Maestro, thank you, I will be a bel canto singer. But after appoggio, I have a little problem with my larynx, not throat. Very little problem. Is it because of the airflow? Okay, well, one, I say this time and time again, the most significant change and positive contribution to my technique was coming to learn appoggio breath management and integrating that into my technique. I'm curious about your larynx. Is it too high or what's happening, Aldo? I don't see that you've specified that. Tell me what's going on. Is it that it's moving? Is it too high? What's going on with your larynx? Rahul, D, I'm practicing with your beginner program, but I don't know how much does I need. Generally speaking, what I recommend is 10 minutes of technical exercises per day, in addition to anything else that you're singing. So, like if you're going to practice your songs for half an hour, 45 minutes, then try to do 10 minutes or so of technical exercises. If you're a beginner, that's a very appropriate amount. As you progress, you may find that you're going to need a little bit more time, particularly if you are. Once you start the process of matching vowels in the thyroarytenoid dominant range, that can quickly eat up a lot of time. I see it happen in lessons frequently. So, once you're singing melismatically, I would expect that time to increase a little bit. The actual working on the transition through the zona de passaggio initially doesn't take a whole lot of time because you just need 5 minutes of it every day. But the thing, and you hear me saying it, I keep on saying, 10 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. And that is really what it comes down to, is a daily practice. So whatever you can sustain regularly, that's what I would suggest you do, in addition to everything else that you've got to sing. So keep that in mind. If all you're doing are the vocal warm-ups and things like that, and especially as a beginner, then I would string together like 2 or 3 of those, and maybe mix in like some of the stuff from the quick tips playlist, so that you're getting some of the technical aspects of it and the theory behind singing, as well as getting some practice in, so you can really just inform your whole process for how you're working on your voice. Greg, is what for female singers? Let me see here. Susan Taylor, in a couple months. The guide to the YouTube channel is going to be coming out in just a couple months. I'm in the process now of having it proofread, which I am incredibly grateful for. I just got an initial email back of comments and edits, and I'm like, wow, I did not see that coming. So yeah. Greetings, Maz. Aldo. Yeah, the new videos. One voice register goal, absolutely. Word to the wise on the videos that came out today, by the way. That's like super high range stuff for most people. So Danielle, whom I don't know if Danielle is here. I don't know if Danielle typically shows up at the live events, but she left a comment earlier about doing a warm up before doing it. You'll notice those videos weren't released into the warm up playlist. They're in the high range playlist. So I would advise that you do a warm up prior to doing those videos, because in many cases it goes straight to the zona de passaggio and up and over it. So yeah. B Sing H. I hit correct notes, but still nobody likes. Please can help why it happened and how to fix this. Well, it's not all. I mean, it's not all about pitch. I mean, singing in tune is that's like the cover charge at a club. If you've ever been to a club that's got a band playing, you got to pay the cover charge before you get into the club. But then again, too, intonation is singing in tune, or intonation. It's kind of a prerequisite, but it's also kind of beside the point. We sing in tune if we're hearing things accurately and listening carefully, and we have a well-adducted, well-engaged, or supported system. So if you're singing in tune, that's really, really good. That's huge, in fact. But I would do a bit of recording, and it doesn't, use your phone or use your computer or whatever you've got, just any old thing to record yourself, and have a listen to it critically. See what the sort of tonal aspects of your singing voice are. You may also consider what range you're singing in. If I remember correctly, I believe you have a lower voice. If you're trying to sing really, really high stuff, then maybe consider moving the keys of those so that they're in a more neutral range for your particular voice rather than the original artist, whoever happened to sing it. And see if that is any more help. It would also be worth looking into the resonance videos and evaluating how all of your vowel sounds are aligning. And by alignment, I mean, do they sound the same? So that when you sing, are the colors and the resonance and the overall vibrancy of those 5 main vowels all similar enough to be considered the same or similar. There's always going to be a slight little difference between them because the vowel shapes are different, but we can get them really, really close. And if they're not in alignment, then that would be a really good place to start. Ben, welcome. It's been a while since I've heard from you, just a couple weeks really, but good day to you. Aldo asks, Maestro, when you record, do you use monitor on or off in your sound card? Okay, so I use a Mac, so I don't have quite the relationship with my sound card the way many PC people would. I use 2 different interfaces, more or less interchangeably when I record. I have a hot-rodded Digidesign it's a Pro Tools system, Digidesign 002, that was modified by Black Lion Audio, and that's my preferred interface. And I also have an Apogee Duet. When I record, in either case, I use monitors, I use headphones when I'm recording myself. But I will usually I have my right ear on, sometimes completely, sometimes partially on, partially off. My left ear can be almost entirely off my ear, or it might just be clipping the top of my ear there. And I keep the monitoring really quite low. So I'm hearing myself, primarily I am hearing myself in the room. I'll get a little bit of feedback on my voice in the cans, in the headphones, but I am mostly monitoring the tempo of the music in the headphones. I hope that answers your question. Capone, you're going to the sauna. That sounds awesome. Do you do the thing where like you get in the sauna and then you jump in the snow? Is that still a thing in Finland? Maybe it was never a thing, but in the US when I was growing up, we were told that was a thing. I do hope that you enjoy it. Just fun with my voice, but I coached 5 minutes to soprano, very low volume, and ouch, can't do it. Stupid test. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but don't hurt yourself. Be gentle with your voice. Greg, hey Jeff, one thing I've always wondered about the channel, is there a reason you don't distinguish between baritones and basses? Because I don't, I think I've only done 1 or 2 videos where I go into what I consider to be bass land. I have run into so few bass vocalists in my career. I do not mean to exclude them from the channel, but I don't really go that low. Most of what I do, I consider to be for baritone range. I suppose that would fall into basses could sing much of that as well. So yeah, that's all. That's the reason why. I just don't. I've worked with so few basses, and the few that I have asked for specific things for me. Greg, I feel like the baritone videos end up being pretty low as a result. Oh, lower than my tessitura as a natural baritone. Oh, interesting. Well, maybe I'm going a little too low for the baritones. Heidi, I was looking at the falsetto for alto. How would you use it as an alto? Honestly, and it's like the first thing I say in that video, Heidi, that range is seldom developed in the alto vocalist. It's seldom developed in the altos, mezzo, and even mezzo's more gonna get up there. But yeah, I mean, I did not want to exclude the altos from that practice, and so I included that. If I were an alto range vocalist, and the way that I would use that video, the new video, would be as a means by which to just inform how well my technique is operating in my middle range. I wouldn't be working on that video to ultimately be able to sing in that range, although you could do that, but I would be working on it to just really solidify my airflow technique, solidify my technique through the secondo passaggio, particularly if you can do the super lip trill, which I do suggest in that video. The stability of your air column will be enhanced so much for practicing with that, that it will have a fairly profound impact on your entire vocal range. So, and quite frankly, I mean, as a tenor, one might argue that there's a lot of reason for me to spend quite a bit of time developing that range of my voice. And while I have done a little bit, I don't really spend nearly as much time up there as some would, because most of the repertoire that I want to sing doesn't really go there, and my priorities as a vocalist for my own compositions are a little bit different than needing that kind of range. And that's why I practice up there, is to just make the rest of my range as smooth and effortless sounding. Operative word sounding there, effortless sounding. It's not that it is effortless, it just sounds effortless, I hope. So yeah, that would be the point there. I'm going to do my station identification now. For those of you that are new or have not joined us in the past, thank you. This is the live event, which is held every week. And if you are subscribed, thank you. And if you have not yet subscribed, I hope that you'll consider doing so now. The chat is clearly open, so please dive right in and say hello. Be not shy. Join the crowd. It's wonderful. I love it when you guys talk amongst yourselves. Is that a church lady thing from Saturday Night Live, talk amongst yourselves? I think it was. I show my age. Let me see what I got here. Susan Taylor says, thank you, Jeff, for giving us the opportunity to talk to you on Saturdays. This is that's kind. I appreciate that. I'm in the path of a storm that's supposed to be hitting a few hours from now. I am prepared. Okay, well, if you're like is it in the Carolinas? Is that where you are? If that's what I'm thinking of, I do hope you're prepared. That has been a nasty storm. I mean, Haiti got hammered, and Florida got, I think people were mostly prepared in Florida, so it didn't sound like it was too bad. At least I didn't hear that there were a whole lot of casualties. So I do hope you're prepared. Batten down the hatches. Maddie, hello. You're welcome for the video on flageolet. Yes, indeed, take it slow. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's fun to explore that. And as I mentioned to Heidi just a moment ago, it's good to go up there, if for no other reason than that the impact it has on the airflow of the rest of your vocal range is significant. And quite frankly, too, the attention to vowel modification and vowel formation as you get well into that range, I think has a fairly significant impact as well. It just enhances your precision all the way around. So thank you. Enjoy. Gerald Ryan, hello. Welcome. I know it's midnight or 1 a.m. where you are, so thank you for burning the midnight oil, as they say. Aldo, in the area of the soft palate and uvula, it tickles me. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, I think all kinds of stuff like that happens. It may be that you are squeezing those muscles. If you can snort like a piggy, then you'll feel that muscle pulling up on the soft palate, and it's way in the back there. You might be kind of pulling on that muscle a little bit. Your uvula, depending on the size of your uvula, some people have larger ones than others. As it happens with the human body, there are variances. A friend of mine has a rather large uvula. Pardon me. And so that has in the past actually, it hasn't, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's created problems, but it's been a little bit of an annoyance from time to time. You mentioned in your earlier comments about some things with your larynx going on. You know, all that whole area right there, the soft palate, the uvula, your larynx, it's all kind of interconnected. I suspect that as your apagio technique is improving, you're getting like some subtle shifting of the soft tissue. Ideally, it's because things are releasing and they're kind of rejigging and allowing for more resonance. If you're allowing for more resonance, then you're probably going to have more physical sensations in that area, the oral cavity, and that might be kind of what's going on for you, a little tickle. Yeah, as long as you're not hurting, no, that whole no pain, no gain, not for us, not for singers. Maybe if you're like getting a little bit, abdominally fatigued, that's all right, but not up top. Gerald Ryan, I tell to my choir members your channel. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. That's wonderful. Oh, okay, right. Mana 3976. Every time sometimes when I scroll, it like goes crazy. How do I sing low without sounding nasal? High notes are fine, but low notes are nasal. You're a mezzo. Excellent. Beautiful question. It is a bit of a balancing act. You're not going to have the kind of presence in your low register such as an alto might, so resist the temptation. If you try to push into that range of your voice, then you're going to get you might get some nasality. You might get a little bit of premature vocal fatigue. Now, in an appropriate range for me, if I'm here, a little bit of that mask resonance is going to give me some presence, but too much, and then I'm going to get nasal, right? So, that is clearly too much. I don't want to hear that, right? The main thing about that is that I've gone so far forward that I've really lost any sensation of connection to the vocal fold. It's just completely disconnected. So we have to stay on those thyroarytenoid muscles and yet have enough of that front end to blend it so that there's some presence there, because I don't have baritone chops down here. I'm not going to have the richness. I get presence and body in that range of my voice in a different way, and yours will be similar. Now for you, of course, it would be about there. And all things being equal, I would approach it that way. And then as you find that placement where you've got some front end, but you're still connected, then try increasing the airflow. Be very focused on increasing the airflow. An increase in airflow means an increase in resonance. That means we get a little bit more volume. I don't want to focus on volume entirely. I rarely mention that in my instruction. But there's a certain baseline we want to achieve, and we need to have a certain amount of volume to make sure that everything is working properly. So just see where you're at, but know that you're not, if you're a mezzo, then it would be unusual for you to have the kind of presence that an alto range vocalist would. And that's okay. That's one of the things that's different about your voice from that voice. The same way that my voice is different from a baritone's voice or some other voice. Nicholas, thank you. I appreciate that, and welcome. Maz, last week something clicked for me. I've got to the point where vocalizing feels like I'm inhaling my voice and not pushing. Mm. I can't really hear myself now, but I can feel the resonance, which is weird sensation. How long does it take to get used to singing this way? Um, I don't know. I think I guess in my experience, I'm looking at it exactly the opposite way, which is that when I when if I think back to when my voice got coordinated in the way that you are describing, it was so wonderful and it felt so good and it felt so integral to me that I just immediately wanted to chase it and I wanted to happen more and more and more and more. I'm curious about how you can't really hear yourself. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But in terms of getting used to it, I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked once I had a sense of that resonance and suspension and engagement and the coordination of the onset of the beginning of airflow and the engagement of the vocal fold muscle. Like when it all started to come together, it was absolutely enticing and I wanted nothing but to do that again and again and again. So I suppose if it's very, very new and unusual, the standard response is 6 months to fully integrate a new skill into your vocal delivery. For those that practice regularly, though, I feel like that is a very, very generous estimate in time. I doubt it will take you that long. Gerald Ryan, thank you, but thank you in regards to the new warm up, the new video, the ones that were released today, though. Not entirely a warm up. I would highly recommend you warm up with something else. Maybe the diaphragmatic warm up for male and female voices, or pick your favorite warm up. Maybe something that goes into the zona de passaggio, one of the full range warm ups in the warm up playlist. Because the new one is all about the transition, the upper transition in our voices. So, yeah. Maddie, this week I explored pulling gently on something really stable, like a piano, to feel proper engagement. It was very helpful. Yeah, that's a really, yeah. And another thing is I'll have people cup their hands like this and pull their elbows apart. That's more about expansion of the rib cage. But fantastic. Pulling. Interesting. JC's Radiant Ray. Jeff, thank you for your latest falsetto videos. It prompted a question. Excellent. Are there popular pop artists' voice who sing in high female flageolet? This is in part where I'm going to demonstrate a certain amount of ignorance about what is popular in today's music. Because immediately I'm starting to think about Whitney Houston, which I know is a long time ago. And of course, she was singing not only in the flageolet area, but also doing some whistle tones as well, which is a different technique. I wonder if who was I listening to? It starts with a D. No, 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 no. Yes, Demi Lovato. She has quite a prodigious range. However, I think that she primarily achieves that by using a partially adducted vocal fold in the lower range. So she really squeaks out a few notes on the low side. And then is able to sing like a 2-octave range. But when you listen to her, you'll notice that those notes on the bottom are almost always partially adducted. So while she's singing in like an alto range, I don't think she's actually an alto. If she were, then she would be in the flageolet area. But I think she's faking it. I don't think she's really like an alto range vocalist. That's like the only person to whom I've been listening to right now that that gets into that area. Many other female vocalists, when I've taken a closer look at their material, like Katy Perry, who typically will just kind of push her chest voice up a little bit to get what she needs. Miley Cyrus is perhaps an incredibly brilliant, absolutely brilliant, in terms of using the performance of the song to give the illusion of a wide range. Like if you check out that Wrecking Ball song, it really only it really only spans an octave. It doesn't have a very wide range. And yet from an energy standpoint and the way that she approaches it, you can easily think like, wow, this is really moving around a lot. But it's not. I'm sorry, JC's Radiant Ray, I don't have more to offer in that regard. Nicholas, if I have a good breathing and diaphragm basis, is shouting, belting a lot of good exercise to gain more power? I feel like a speech singer sometimes. Well, okay. So this is a highly contentious topic. And I am of the opinion that belting can be done to a certain degree safely. However, you have to be extremely careful with it, and you have to be very, very careful with your voice. Now, in your question here, belting a lot, I would not recommend that. Is it a good exercise to gain more power? Not really. It will give you one thing, which is what we'd call entering the call of the voice. And that's what belting is referred to, at least in the school of vocal pedagogy that I study and have taken instruction in the past. So you'll get one kind of power from developing that kind of voice. It is very, very important, I feel, that you should stay no more than a major second above the secondo passaggio in your belted voice. So wherever your secondo passaggio is, limit yourself to a major second above it to avoid excessive vocal fatigue. If you feel like a speech singer at times, consider how you're connecting the vowel sounds in your songs. Make the connection from vowel to vowel. If your consonants are too prevalent in your diction, if you're enunciating the consonants too much, then you're going to really be breaking up your phrases a lot. Try toning down the amount of consonant that you have and make a greater connection from vowel to vowel to vowel. Thing to practice is to take all the consonants out. Take a look at, you don't have to do the whole song, but take a look at a verse and eliminate all the consonants. Keep the rhythm of your melody correct. Keep the melody itself, the notes, correct, and make the connection from vowel to vowel to vowel. Work towards getting all of those vowels in alignment or sounding the same. That's a synonymous way of saying that. And then see how your power develops, because power is a function of resonance. And when we belt, because of the excessive muscle tension in the oral cavity, we limit our resonance, and we're relying entirely on that call, that yell. And so it's kind of a one-trick pony. Nicholas, you're a baritone. I see you're. It's the same for whatever. Baritone / tenor. It's really, really the same for all of us in that regard. Nicholas, I'm sorry, Aldo. Aldo is talking to JC's Radiant Ray about The Weeknd and Bruno Mars. I still have to check out The Weeknd. And of course, Bruno Mars I've heard before, and he's cool. He does sing quite high. Where I lost everybody. How did I lose everybody here? Ariana Grande. Okay, you guys are talking. Blue third up. I've got to go faster. Let me see. Yeah, we are Sauna Crazy Nation. Okay, that's cool. Cut you the ice with a chainsaw. That's amazing. Have fun in the sauna, Capone. Greg is talking to JC's Radio. Sorry, sometimes when I scroll, like it goes all crazy and I lost everything. So Blue third up. After singing in higher parts of my range and skip to my lower notes, the low notes sound weak, quiet. How can I overcome this? Yeah, I talked a lot about this at the very beginning of this event. In brief, you've got to work towards more balance between the musculature above and below the break. So thyroid dominance versus cricothyroid dominance. I think I've got a lot of questions. I will circle around back to this, or when the event is over, go right to the beginning of the event once it's released on YouTube, which it will be almost immediately, I believe, and you can check that out because I did go into that quite in detail. Maureen, hello, you're welcome. Jaheim, welcome. I'm doing well, thank you. Gerald Ryan, I'm tenor 1. Can I use your alto warm-up video? Of course, absolutely. Absolutely. Just realize that your secondo passaggio, you will encounter your register transition in different locations than the exercises are necessarily meant to, but that's fine as long as you're expecting it. JC's Radiant Ray Aldo is talking to JC's Radiant Ray. Heidi, I answered your question. I can do most of the mezzo videos. I'm happy with that. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Heidi. Susan Taylor, in the Pacific Northwest, Tacoma, Washington, USA to be exact, the hatches have been battened down. Oh, we're receiving the end remnants of a typhoon. Yikes. Heidi Banker, yes, indeed. Stay safe up there. That's right. I remember talking to you about Tacoma, Washington before. You're talking to Heidi, John, Phillips, and Brown. I sometimes get pains around my rib cage after choir rehearsal. I guess that's okay, right? Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want to be too uncomfortable, but at least you're staying engaged and staying supported. That's fantastic. Aldo is saying, thank you, I'm not hurting. Excellent. Remember when I first started vocalizing, I was so disappointed with myself, and now I'm obsessed with it. Love it. After every Q&A, you get 1,000 happiness. Brilliant. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That's good. That's good. It's our operative verb is to play. So let's play. Blue, third up. In the mornings, I can sing a G2, but in the afternoon, that range seems to be gone. And as long as B2, is that okay, or am I doing something wrong? Thanks. No, that's entirely normal. When the tissues start to get engorged with blood, you lose a major second, minor third. That's perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. Yeah. Maddie is talking to Susan. Do stay safe, Susan. Actually, that's not 1,000. It's either 100,000 or 1,000,000 plus happiness, which is wonderful. Thank you, Aldo. Susan is saying thank you to Maddie. Kelly Trottier. Hi, Jeff. Really appreciate your help. You're welcome. Thank you. Tips on smoothing transition through registers. Yeah, there's lots and lots of that on the channel. I'm reading down here. Is there something specific you wanted me to talk about tonight? Ben, yes, when you made that video for me, were you the... Yeah, that's right. Diaphragmatic breathing technique with the super stretched cheek lip trill works perfect. Toy for me. Excellent. Excellent. I do the diaphragmatic breathing video I'm very fond of. Kelly, I like your help. Oh, I already read. Oh, through the mix back into chest. Yeah. Well, I did, you know what, one of my favorite exercises for that, it depends on where you are in your practice, but in terms of if you're making a good transition but you want to smooth it out a little bit more, I'm thrashing my voice. I need to take my own advice and support more when I'm speaking. When you're singing down through that, if you're singing stepwise exercises, one of the best ways that I have found to gently transition, to smooth out the transition and gently transition into descending vowels is the NG exercise. That NG lets you find where your voice is going to place that pitch and you release it to ah, and then you do your descent. You got to really make sure you stay on your airflow. If your airflow doesn't stay consistent, it will fall apart on you. But that's one of my favorite ways to work on smoothing through the transition. Eventually you need to do it ascending and descending, but start descending. That's the way to go about it. JC's rating Ray's talking to Greg and Aldo, and Aldo's talking back. Maz, the sound sounds much lighter and brighter in my head. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, especially about the passaggio. Basically, more presence, less low end. Cheers, Jeff. Practice every day, at least an hour, by the way. That is fantastic. I don't know if you're still here or not, Maz, but I need to bring that point up more frequently, and thank you for writing that out there. It has been such a long time that I've been practicing this transition. I have forgotten that in the initial stages of singing through the zona de passaggio and making a transition into cricothyroid dominant singing, the sound will be dramatically different from what you're accustomed to internally. And furthermore, it diverges very, very greatly from what is outside versus what is in. That takes some time to get used to. And I do not mention that nearly as much as I ought to. So thank you very much for bringing that up. That is an excellent question and an excellent point that I need to make more frequently. Paulina. I lost it again. Paulina, hey. Hello. I was wondering what kind of vocal exercises you should do if you want to expand and improve your lower register. Ironically enough, the warm down is probably good for that. And anything that says full range will go into what are the sort of generally accepted extremities of the range. And every once in a while, I'll put like an extra major second down there for the exceptional, because every voice is slightly different. Some will have them, a little bit more on the low end than others. But anything full range, you can practice down there. A lot of the mask resonance exercises are appropriate for lower register development too, because that brilliance is, again, it varies on your voice type. A baritone range vocalist would approach this differently than I would, because they have more richness, more presence in that range of their voices than I would. So depending on your vocal fosh, you might approach it a little bit differently, but the warm down spends most of its time in and around the lower ranges that it goes to. And anything full range will get down there more or less, but it doesn't necessarily linger in that area. Yeah, I would explore mask resonance and how to stay light and bright, but present. Paulina, I might also suggest, I did go over that a little bit earlier, and in an effort to get as many of the questions I possibly can, I did talk about that, 20 minutes ago or something like that. So if you went back, once this is published to YouTube, search around 30 minutes, 40 minutes in, and you'll find where I'm talking about that. Paulina. Oh. I can sing high, but when I go, my voice just disappears. A new subscriber, and I find your videos available. Thank you for subscribing. Now, that is an interesting way to phrase it. When you phrase it like that, I have a different response, because if you're practicing your upper register, then it's quite likely that you are going to be not entirely well aligned for phonation in your lower register. So maybe make your practices, change your focus in its entirety and then work towards a full integration. So maybe in the beginning of your practice, start off with some exercises that are lower down. Most of the warm-ups do progress that way anyway, and then move towards your upper range. But the thing is that, and this is why we have to vocalize. We ought to, we don't have to, but we ought to be vocalizing to the range that our songs are in. So if, I'm singing a song and it hovers around middle C and it never goes below a G, then that's the zone plus a major second, minor third on both sides of it that I am going to warm up to, that I'm going to focus my vocalizations on. If it goes higher or lower, or whatever it's going to do, that's where I'm going to do my vocalizations. If I'm singing an entire show and I'm all over the place, then I'm going to spend, and this is just me personally, I'm going to spend more time overall warming up so that I'm really, this is a really silly analogy, so please forgive me for this, but when I'm really, really, truly warmed up, I feel like an internal combustion engine where the oil is hot. You know, like when oil gets hot, it retains its viscosity, but it breaks down to a certain extent, so it's liquid and it flows through all the parts of the engine, and it's all like running really smooth, and it's hot, it's heated up. There's heat in my body. I'm warmed up, both physically and mentally and vocally, and that's kind of silly, but there you go. I'm sorry, I diverged entirely into the subjective. Paulina, Lara Sophia is talking to you, Paulina. Jaheim, what about Sia? That's another, right. I don't know her stuff that much. I'll have to check it out. Excellent. Indeed, Gerald Ryan. Do the interval mode. That's a great one. Greg, do you have any advice for learning to sight sing? Yes, solfege. Solfege, 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 solfege. You will see results in a fairly short period of time, but that is that is the best way to develop really, really good sight singing chops, as well as some rhythm exercises too, because rhythm is part of that as well. Paulina's talking to Alara Safina. Maureen, I can belt, but don't find much use for it in my vocal repertoire. I'm glad I learned the style though. I like bananas is a good one for belting. A good one for learning to belt. It helped you. Good. Greg's life, solfege is your friend. Absolutely. Exactly, Maz. Minran Yoke, what should I eat for a male voice, baritone and tenor? What should my diet be so I can improve my voice and make it deeper? Okay. If you're a beginner, and how much time should I practice every day? Max time. As long as your voice isn't getting fatigued, then the sky's the limit. Sing as much as you like. Make sure you're using good support and good vowel formation. If you are a beginner, I would worry less about what you're eating and more about getting your vowel sounds in alignment. So think short vowel sound exercises. There's tons of that stuff on the beginners channel. I never did get as much of that on this year as I meant to. But I'm going to do more. So you can look forward to that in the near future. But, you know, as you progress, you may find that some foods do irritate your voice and aren't going to give you as good a vocal delivery as others. Speaking for myself, spicy foods. If I know I have to sing or perform especially, and I love spicy foods, but I just can't. It doesn't work very well for me at all. Oddly enough, green tea as well. Green tea is a no-no. When I'm working, teaching, whatever. Jaheim, do I think voice classification matters? I don't think it matters nearly as much as the importance that we seem to place upon it. You know, the standard line is that in the opera world, it matters quite a lot. But even that isn't entirely true, because I know baritones that go around singing tenor repertoire and are famous people. Like, they do really, really well. It's more about understanding your instrument, your voice, so that you can know its tendencies. I think that's where vocal fosh or classification is really important. So in understanding what your fosh is and your vocal characteristics and its tendencies, you can come from a more informed standpoint as you sculpt it to do the repertoire that you wish to sing. That's it. Greg is talking to Minron. Greg is still talking to Minron. I think I'm saying that right. Minron, yeah. Kelly Trottier, I feel that. Thanks. You're welcome. Maz, still here. Excellent. Elmea, stay. Jeff, your warm-ups have helped me warm up. I do not have a teacher, but your thanks have helped my thing. Excellent. Good. Good. As I am fond of saying, the vocal warm-ups are really technical exercises in disguise. I just call them warm-ups because that's what everyone searches for. And yes, like, you can warm up with them. I mean, obviously, that's fine. But they are technical exercises. And that's part of what the guidebook is about, is taking the warm-ups and dissecting them so that if you have a certain kind of thing that you're looking for, you'll be able to find it in the warm-ups more easily. So Rocco, you don't, well, I'm glad you were jogging. It's really, really good that you're out jogging. I am an avid runner myself. But, once this thing is over, you can watch it because YouTube publishes it to the channel. So it's no big. It's all good. It's all good. Blue Third Up. I love the questions, Blue Third Up. You're very, very welcome. I really, really enjoy these sessions on Saturday. I look forward to it too. I look forward to everybody chatting with each other on the screen, and I look forward to the questions. And a couple of things have come up tonight which are absolutely fantastic, as always does. Every week there's something or several things that are absolutely fantastic and that I need to be reminded of from time to time. So it's great. This is great, great, great. Zoroko is talking to Minron. Almeas, question, Mr. Jeff, do you like Gabriel Fauré? I love Gabriel Fauré. I absolutely love Fauré. Yeah. I don't know that piece, though, so I'm going to have to check that out. I know parts of it. JC's Radiant Ray is talking to Aldo, and I'm going to listen to Sia as well. Zoroko is asking how to do the singing warm-up as a beginner. I'm planning on following it with my electric guitar. Interesting. If you mean playing the you know what? It might be better. The vocalizations in them are a little bit more advanced, but you might look over at the singing with guitar videos. I did a couple videos on vocalizations with guitar, and there you could just literally follow right around, just follow it on screen. Mostly everything moves in chromatic movement. So from one vocalization, I gotta get that A flat key fixed. It's all chromatic up and down. The patterns themselves, they vary widely. Scales and arpeggios and everything. Aldo is talking to JC's Radiant Ray. Paulina, you're welcome. It is my pleasure. Thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. Alara Sophia, Jeff, in your tweet you said, ask me your questions, gatekeeper. I am not afraid. So I must ask, what is your favorite color? I think I would have already been cast off the bridge. My favorite color is purple. But I'm always wearing black, and that is my favorite mode of dress. I grew up in the time frame when musicians and artists always adorned themselves in black at all times. So that's my uniform of choice. But that's awesome. I'm glad that you got that. I love making the tweets. I know I should be more specific with the tweets about the videos and stuff, but I really enjoy making kind of silly jokes about it. So, then I must ask you, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Aldo, almost forgot. Maestro, did you listen about Bob Dylan's Lyric? Yes, of course, I heard about that, and that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I don't know what he was given it for, though. I don't know if he wrote a novel or something, but Alara Sophia, you are absolutely right on the money. You absolutely got it. You nailed it. It is entirely a Monty Python quote. You got it. So Rocco, you're welcome. B. Moskovitz, you're very welcome. I thank you for chiming in today, and thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Zoroko saying, oh, okay. Almeus, Gabriel Forez, Agnus Dei, the Requiem Mass. Yeah. I'm foray. I don't know what it is. I definitely need to study foray more closely. I just haven't. I've done so many other things, but there is something, those pieces that I know, they are sublime. There are no words. They are absolutely sublime. Alara Sophia is laughing. Excellent. Excellent, Nicholas. Excellent. Yeah. That's like my go-to. That is my go-to practice when things are coming out too speechy. It's a bit of a pain, but stick with it. And after a while, you won't have to do it as much. Songwriting from a vocalist perspective. I must admit, I try not to think about it too much when I'm writing songs. I think more about melody, and I try to think mostly about melody. I want a strong, strong melody, and I worry later about putting it in the right key or what key it's going to be in. Like that's all that comes later. I really try much as I can not to concern myself with how I'm going to sing it while I'm writing it. And I do have to go, I'm afraid. So I do have to wrap it up. Thank you all so much. Gerald Ryan, do go to sleep. Thank you, Maz. That's lovely. I will have a look at that. Almaeus, indeed. I love it when deep cries to deep. Indeed. Thank you all so much. I really, really, really appreciate these weekends are so much fun, and I so look forward to it. Take really, really good care of your voices. Great session. I'll see you all next week here again. Just thank you. Thank you so much. I think I got everybody. Yeah. Have a great one, all right? I'll see you next week, all right? Bye. Oh, wait. I almost forgot. Take really good care of your voices, enjoy singing, and hopefully I'll see you again. And yes, Susan, you watch out for that storm. All right, bye.